All right, it is time for part 2 of the PassingTones lesson. So in part 1, we learned that if we have a C chord like this, C major, this is only going to pertain to major chords. Minor chords have different passing tones. So C major, we have these passing tones that are 2, 1, 2. This is how many frets above the chord they are. These are the next notes in the major scale. 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. This is the hyperspeed version of part 1 that we can use so that we're not just stuck on the 5th fret on a C chord. We can use a passing tone. And important to remember that when you're doing these passing tones, you want to be able to play clean and you want to block things out, because not everything on the 7th fret is a good note. When you're on the 5th fret, you're reasonably safe, and if you play sloppy, you just get another note of the C major scale or chord. But if you do that when you're up on the 7th fret, you get a whole bunch of stuff you don't want. So when you do these passing tones, it's important to be able to play single notes clean. All right, so now on to the part 2 version. And what I'm going to add, what we did here, this was the next note in the major scale for each string, in the C major scale. Now I'm going to do the previous note on each string. So it's the same concept, but now I'm moving the bar towards the nut from my chord. And we have a new pattern. The pattern for this case is, this is how many frets back. Starting on the high string, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. So all right, our chord is here. To get it all together, in front of the bar we have 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Behind the bar we have 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. Hopefully that makes sense. That's how far we're moving the bar away from our chord. So those are our passing tones for a C chord that are towards the nut. Now it's nice to have passing tones on either side of the bar, because even if some of the notes are duplicates, they open up different phrasing possibilities. Okay? For example, on the 2nd string here, if I used the one from part 1, there, that's an F note. Part 2, I have an F note on the top string. Same note, but on the top string, I slide up to the C chord. On the 2nd string, I slide down to the C chord. So it changes your phrasing possibilities. So all right. I'm going to play for you a little exercise that I wrote to kind of get you started on this. This is on the website. If you're watching this on YouTube, you got to go to the website and see the tablature for this. So I'm just going to take each one. I'm going to play it, slide it, and then play some more of the chord. I'm going to go right down the strings. So here's a chord. Technically, I have another one right here. All right, so there's our little exercise. All this movement we can add to a C major chord. So if we play a progression, I'll do 1, 4, 5, 1. You good with numbers? All right. 1 chord is C, 4 chords F, 5 chords G. On G, I'm going to play it on the 12th fret because the passing tones are not going to be there in the open position. Some of them will be, but they'll be different. So I want to keep things the same. All right, so 1 chord. 4 chord. 5 chord. 1 chord. That was a half step. That should have been a whole step. There we go. There we go. So that's how we navigate these things when we're playing a chord progression, especially if all the chords are major chords, which sometimes they are. All right. Now you can start to play like solos and stuff with this information. If you have a long C chord, you might play. Turn that into melody. Now it really gets fun when you add in what we learned in part 1. And now we're not stuck going in one direction. We can go in either direction. And so now I have, like, when I play a C chord, I have the chord here, but I have a bunch of notes here that are nice to use, and then I have a bunch of notes over here that are nice to use. And I can play around in the key of C. That's because I'm on a C chord. And play a whole bunch of melody to either build a solo or a fill, whatever I'm looking for. So in that case, now I can do kind of like this. So starts to sound like I'm improvising, which is the idea. That's what we're trying to do. So one more time, I'm going to put this all together for you. If I can, I'm going to do 1, 4, 5, 1 in the key of C. I'm going to use passing tones behind the bar. I'm going to use passing tones in front of the bar, and it'll just sound like I'm making stuff up and I know what I'm doing. I hope. Here we go. I'll try it. 1, 2, 3, and 4 chord. I wanted to do a different progression. I'm going to try this again. 1, 4, 5, 1. I'll remember it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's the 1 chord. 4 chord. 5 chord. 1 chord. I still wanted to mess it up, but I think I kind of made it. You get the idea. So you start to get comfortable when you go to a major chord. Yes, you have a kind of a starting point and an ending point that is on the major chord, wherever that fret is. But you have a lot of music to be played within 4 frets of that. So that's the concept there. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it brings you lots of gigs. And we will just see you in the next one. I'm going to keep trying to help you guys out get improvising, because when we're improvising, it's nice. We're not looking at the page. We're looking at the instrument, and we're thinking about tone, and we're listening with our ears, and that's really what you need to be doing. So that's what we're working on here. Play it by ear. All right? We will see you next time.